I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
We are Velocities in Music. On this podcast, Tom and I discuss a bevy of topics pertaining to modern music, including artist deep dives, and monthly and annual new music wrap-ups. And today, Tom, we are going to discuss our favorite songs from 2015.
Yes.
So we have a big list. We have a big list, but we've boiled it down to 30. And so Tom and I will run through our favorite 30 songs from 2015. But before we get started, you can help support Velocities in Music. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcasting device to automatically get our latest podcast episodes sent to your device each week. Also, we don't want your money, and we don't want to put ads on Velocities in Music's podcast. All we want is for you to share Velocities in Music with family or friends whom you feel would benefit from joining in the music discussion we are trying to create. So, that being said, how'd you feel about this year in music, Tom? Did you feel like 2015 was a pretty strong year?
I do. Especially like our top tier of songs and albums were incredibly strong.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, since we changed the format up a little bit, I feel like there were some albums that I didn't get to know quite as well.
The ones that came out earlier in the year before we were doing the podcast.
Well, yeah, and we came in about 2/3 of the way through the year, so there's that aspect of it. But also just the fact that we're trying to cover more quantity of music. We're not necessarily listening to albums like 5 to 10 times like we were when we were doing album reviews, but still, I think that we did a good job of really going through and trying to find everything that we could.
Right. It's tougher because we don't get that intimate listening experience as much as we did before. There's ways that albums that we listen to, we're previewing, a ton of albums every single month, getting at least one listen into each of them. But they have to bubble up. They have to be good enough on those first couple listens to catch our fancy per se, and for them to bubble up to get the repeat listen, for us to really fall in love with the album and subsequently a lot of their tracks. And that certainly happened on a number of albums, but as we get into this new style of Velocities in Music, I mean, we've really only been doing this, Tom, for about 4 months. We're still figuring this out.
We're still babies, man.
Yeah, we're figuring this out. So I think over the next, few months into 2016, we'll really polish this and get a better sense. And so we might, we reserve the right to change things up in the future, but so far I feel pretty comfortable about how our list ended up. And
I agree.
I think we should just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
30 favorite songs from Velocities in Music from 2015. Starting with number 30 on our favorite songs of 2015 list, Tom, we have Logic, Fade Away. This is one of I think it's like track 2 on The Incredible True Story. I think that's right. But anyways, this song is really how Logic opens up his really epic album. You have like this repeating vocal melody going on in the background, and then this piano comes in, and then Logic starts laying down his incredible hip-hop delivery, which I find to be awfully impressive.
One thing that he does too is when he's saying the words fade away, it starts to fade away.
I know, it's genius.
I love it when artists actually incorporate the lyrical meaning of what they're saying into the music. It makes a very cohesive package.
Fade Away was definitely the song from The Incredible True Story that I kept coming back to, and I definitely want to listen to this song going forward.
At number 29, we've got the second track from Youth Lagoon's Savage Hills Ballroom. The song is called Highway Patrol Stun Gun.
Epic title.
Yeah, and this one, coming from Savage Hills Ballroom, it's got a very kind of piano-based sound on this track. It's a little more chill at first, but it really builds nicely, and more just Trevor Power's great harmony lines. He blends his vocal layers very well, and I find this to be a really emotive song.
Next up, number 28 on our list, we have Never Ending Circles by Churches. This is off of Church's album Every Open Eye, and Tom and I were very, very, very much anticipating this release when it came out. This track is the first song on Every Open Eye and really set the stage for the entire album. Just the first thing that happens is you get this just wall of electronic sound, just huge pounding beat, loud synths, and then the vocals come in almost right away, and it's just this beautiful, beautiful vocal melody that just gets in your head and you can't get it out. Following Churches, we have number 27 on our list, Change is Everything by Sun Lux. If you're a Sun Lux fan, you probably know how fanatical his sound can be, how over the top and almost even melodramatic at times Sun Lux sound can be. You usually have crazy loud beats and a lot of dynamic shifts just between the instrumentation and the whole composition, but also Sun Lux's just incredibly emotive vocals as he belts out his vocal melodies that are really catchy and really get me intrigued into the song. Changes Everything just from the get-go. It's track 2 on his new album Bones, and it just sets the album up perfectly.
I really like the lyrical play, that kind of double meaning with this moment changes everything, change is everything.
Yes.
I love wordplay like that. At number 26, we've got Hot Chip with Why Make Sense, the title track and the closing track from Hot Chip's newest album. The thing I love about this track is the beat comes in so strong, and where with Hot Chip, you're used to kind of glitchy, tight beats. This one is just, it's very organic sounding, and it has a big room sound. It just pummels at you. And then the vocalist is throwing at you the line, why make sense when the world around refuses? I think it's a really strong line in 2015 when the whole world just seems to be going nuts. It's a fun song, it's uplifting, but it's a little bit skeptical as well, and just a great track overall.
Now we have number 25 on our list, My Baby Don't Understand Me by Natalie Prass. This is off of Natalie Prass's self-titled debut record, and it's the first track on the album, and it sets the stage very nicely, and I'm noticing that a lot of the songs that we picked, Tom, are usually early in the record and do a great job of setting up what is a very cohesive sounding album.
That can be a good function of a song,
to
set up a whole bigger experience.
Yep. So on My Baby Don't Understand Me, you have a very quiet introduction to the album and the song itself, where you have just the piano start and then Natalie Prass's vocals, and then she slowly builds the song throughout the first half. The song is a little over 5 minutes long, so the first 2.5 minutes you really have her just doing this builder before, and she adds in more and more instrumentation and layers of strings and everything. This is a very soulful, almost kind of jazzy sound to it, and jazz, blues, soul, it's kind of all in this amalgamation of genres there, but then she shifts into this Our Love Is a Long Goodbye section and rebuilds the whole song, and just the effect is super emotive and gripping throughout. Great way to start off this album, and it's a great debut album all over.
Number 24 is John Grant's Gray Tickles Black Pressure. Track 2 from the album Gray Tickles Black Pressure. What do you know? And the thing that I really like about this song is it has this almost kind of like modern Elton John feel to it. It's very piano driven, and John Grant's lyrics really is what helps move this song along. They're very personal. They're very almost kind of make you uncomfortable. But I like artists that are willing to push those limits. And on top of that, I mean, the melody is just catchy as hell, memorable. It's got a nice chorus that it kind of drops into. Just a lot of subtle songwriting tactics that really get at me.
I can't believe I miss New York during the 70s. I could have gotten a head start in the world of disease. I'm sure that
Following John Grant at number 23 on our favorite songs list of 2015, we have The Ground Walks with Time in a Box by Modest Mouse off of their album, which came out in 2015, called Strangers to Ourselves. This was the second single that Modest Mouse released off of their latest record. And while I personally had mixed feelings about the record overall, The Ground Walks with Time in a Box was a clear highlight to me. It really showed a new, I don't want to say a new direction in Modest Mouse's songwriting, but it certainly took it a step further.
Right.
And that's something that I definitely appreciate from a very established artist. I want to see them pushing the envelope a bit.
Yeah, this is a good evolution for Modest Mouse, and it's really the kind of evolution that I would have liked to see in the rest of the record. And I think that this song embodies it really well, where it has, the classic melodic approach that not necessarily very early Modest Mouse, but maybe kind of Good News era Modest Mouse had, with a catchy as hell guitar line and just a little bit sharper production. At number 22, we've got a track from Odyssey from his album The Good Fight. This song's called That's Love. It's the opening track, and really great lyrics. It gets into it right away. Just very relatable, very deep, very personal. But one thing that I really liked about this album, aside from just the lyrical content and the kind of chill beat, is the sparse chorus. Gets into this chorus where it's just the name of the track repeated with these nice, just kind of subtle, like muted horn lines in between. And that's the part that really stuck with me. I found this to be a great track.
they sway you down and they stay around to pick up pieces and you off the ground. That's love. That's love. That's love.
Following Odyssey, we have number 21 on our list, Laura Marling's False Hope. False Hope is the second track on Laura Marling's fifth album, Short Movie, which came out this year. And False Hope is really the first song on the album where you get to, it sets the stage, as I keep saying, for the record, in that this is a heavier record for Laura Marling, and False Hope really rocks out from the get-go.
Yeah.
The song opens up with a lot of electric guitar strumming, and then the song just builds in. You get the full band sound, a very aggressive approach, and Laura Marling just belting out her beautiful voice, and great vocal melodies. This song just hit home with me right away. Right when I heard this record for the first time, this is the song that stuck with me and is my favorite track off the record.
Her vocals are so sultry and badass on this track. I love the confidence that she comes at it with. And another thing too is just the performance style. Like Jake, you mentioned this song really rocks, and it didn't have to. She could have performed this softer, and it could have been in kind of more of the style of her previous album if she wanted to. But things pick up. That bass is kind of gritty. Those drums sound really big, and it just rocks. At number 20, we have Dan Deacon, Feel the Lightning, from his album Glissriffer, the opening track. And this album took a little while for me to really grasp, to really fall in love with. It's got actually kind of a slow beat. You'd expect it to be a little more up-tempo for Dan Deacon, but it's got such a feel-good vibe, a lot of dynamic kind of shifts in the rhythm where he starts to subdivide it a little more, the vocals pick up, and then it just launches into this anthemic chorus. Really great track. number 19 is Josh Ritter's Getting Ready to Get Down, the fourth track from Sermon on the Rocks.
What a groovy title.
It is. And what a groovy song, too. It's got this kind of like offbeat shuffle to it. It kind of stumbles along. But really, while I'm not a huge, like, lyrically focused guy, it's more about melody and songwriting, composition stuff to me. The lyrics in this song are just great. Kind of a tongue-in-cheek play at a lot of just, kind of religious fanaticism and just really good storytelling kind of track. We've talked about this album a couple of times in other podcasts, Jake, and this song to me really embodies just that kind of Americana, but kind of like sassy feel that this album has, and I would highly recommend it.
Every little thing they ever hoped you'd never figure out. The Red Sea, the Dead Sea, the Sermon on the Mount. If you want to see a miracle, watch me get down now. Getting ready to get down. Getting ready to get down. Getting ready to get down.
Following Josh Ritter, we have the Decemberists with A Beginning Song. This is the closing track to the Decemberists' 7th studio record. What a terrible world. What a beautiful world.
Whoa. I thought you said it was a beginning song.
No, well, I mean, it is, but they also put this as the last track on their album. Interesting how they do that, right?
I'm done. I don't know what to think anymore.
And I think that, like, Tom, we haven't really talked about this record very much.
Not really.
At least to one another, but we haven't talked about it at all in a podcast format yet. And I'll just come out and say this right now. I am a huge Decemberists fanboy. And their last 2 albums, and just spoiler alert, I found this album to be overall a little bit disappointing, as I did with The King is Dead. However, this song, A Beginning Song, as a closing track, the Decemberists are just, they're great songwriters when it comes down to it. These guys know how to write an insanely catchy indie folk / pop tune, and A Beginning Song is the perfect example of that. This is really an anthem, and it's a very heartfelt way of closing their record, and they're closing their record with a beginning song, really stating that it's kind of a new beginning, right? And I think that just has a lot of meaning. It carries a lot of value to the listener when you hear Colin Malloy belt out the vocals around this, the vocals and lyrics around this song. The other thing is that just the chorus is so beautiful. You have these huge cascading strings and big guitar crunches. Just all around, just a very impactful track.
Center on your heart, starting with your heart, right heart. I'm waiting, should I be waiting?
At the 17 spot on our favorite songs list of 2015, we have Sprinter by Taurus. Taurus is she's a 90s alternative artist, or at least that's how Wikipedia describes her sound in 2015.
Right. It's pretty accurate though, really.
It actually is. It has a lot of that, just 90s grunge rock vibe, but also a lot of like that My Bloody Valentine influence as well, which, Tom, I know you're a fan of.
Oh yeah.
So the song Sprinter is my favorite song on this record, and the album is also called Sprinter. This is Taurus' second album, and it was released earlier this year in May. So we actually haven't talked about this on the podcast yet, Tom. But I think that Sprinter is one of the most underrated albums of the year, and we'll talk about that more next week in our Misses and Mentions podcast. But in particular, the song Sprinter, I think, and I like that she titled it the same title as the album, because it really defines the album sound. It's right in the heart of the album, and you just have this just crunchy guitar, really melancholy guitar line. It's a moody song, and you have Mackenzie Scott's just beautiful vocals, which I can't get enough of, and the way she just belts it out is so emotive and so powerful. The song goes into this kind of instrumental jam towards the end of it, and you have all these like really atmospheric guitars going on. Has a very My Bloody Valentine sound to it, but it's just the perfect climax to this song, and I found just this song to be just overwhelming front to back.
At number 16, we have Panda Bear with Mr. Noah. What do you know? It's the second track from Panda Bear Meets the Grim
I'm noticing
Reaper.
a trend here,
Yeah,
Tom.
a little bit. It's not all the time, but I guess we do like a lot of first and second tracks. In terms of just making a statement on an album, it's a good spot to do so. But with Mr. Noah, the thing that I really like about it, first off, it's Noah Lennox, Panda Bear's just terrific knack for melody and harmony. He knows how to make a catchy song. He knows how to make an infectious beat. But actually, quick story I want to share. So I was listening to this in the car with my wife, who's really not a big Panda Bear fan. She puts up with it, which I appreciate. But one thing she said to me, she's like, this song is so repetitive. How do you like it when it's that repetitive? And it actually got me thinking, because it's a fair question. It's a pretty repetitive song, and I like people that challenge my taste like that. I like it when people do that. So
I'm glad you like your wife, Tom.
Yeah, me too. It makes life a little bit easier. What I notice about this track, though, is that it's really not as repetitive as it first sounds. Because what Panda Bear is doing is with each repetition of a verse, of a chorus, he's bringing in subtle changes. He's adding another harmony layer. He's mixing up the beat just a little bit. And those changes go a long way in preventing a song from getting stale. And this song just stuck with me all year.
Yeah, his sound is all about the layered approach, and in those different levels of layerings that he's adding to the sound is where you get that depth that is just so iconic about everything that Panda Bear's ever done. At number 15, we have Braids, Taste, from their third record, Deep in the Iris. Not surprising, Tom. This is the second track on Deep in the Iris. And if
we should have looked into this ahead of time. We're digging ourselves a hole here.
But if you listen to our favorite albums podcast that we did last week, Deep in the Iris was very high up on that list. And the reason is because it was just loaded with killer tracks. But most importantly, what the album achieved, and I think Taste is a great example of this, is it sets up this mood where the lyrics create, and the lyrics and vocals really create this mood that's you have like cynical lyrics, but they're very beautifully sung, and the lead singer's just gorgeous voice. Her chorus on Taste is absolutely phenomenal, and it creates this mood that is so insular and yet beautiful at the same time, that these songs take me to another world, and Taste is a great example of that.
Next up, we've got Clutch with X-Ray Visions, the lead single from their new album, Psychic Warfare. I can't help but laugh when I say it, because it treads the line between being ridiculous but still being awesome. This song is so catchy and it's so fun, but it still rocks the hell out. And when you get to that first chorus and you hear the vocalist proclaim Psychic Warfare is real, you can't help but laugh, but you can't help but love it at the same time.
Following Clutch at number 13 on our list, we have 4th of July by Sufjan Stevens off of the album Carrie and Lowell, which came out in March. We covered this album in our best of our favorite albums list last week in our podcast, and just absolutely loved this record.
Yeah.
4th of July is really the foundational track. Now, coincidentally, it's not the second track on the album. It's actually track 6. So it's right at the heart of the album, and it's the most stripped down song on that album. And I say that with a grain of salt because, this album was stripped down to begin with.
Yeah.
Sufjan really scaled it back. The whole album is really centered around themes around death, with his mother passing away. And 4th of July, the song is the thesis statement of that concept. It's all about death, and it's really like the lyrics to me read like poetry. I can listen to this song over and over again, and it really has an impact on me. It's a piano-based song where the rest of the record is mainly, I think, acoustic guitar, if not like mandolin or other instruments.
Ukulele.
But yeah, plucked stringed instruments. And the whole album is beautiful, but having like right in the middle a little bit of instrumental contrast and switching just to the pulsing piano, and Sufjan's just most delicate voice and his most intimate lyrics. It is bone chilling. I get goosebumps just thinking about this song.
Be the sky on the 4th of July. Well, you do enough talk, my little hawk. Why do you cry?
Following 4th of July at number 12 on our list, another intimate track from Ryan Adams, Blank Space. This song is a cover off of Taylor Swift's song Blank Space, and the entire album is actually a cover of Taylor Swift's album 1989 and is also similarly titled. Blank Space, the reason why this song I think resonates so much with me is just because if you listen to Taylor Swift's version, it's a nice. She actually does, I think, a nice vocal performance. It's not in a style that I particularly like because it's so bubblegum pop, and it's quite optimistic too. Ryan Adams spins this thing on its head and makes this a very stripped down acoustic singer-songwriter song, and he's like barely singing, but it's so his vocals are so emotive, and he really adds a lot to the lyrics. I think he puts a different light on it, and it really changes the meaning of the song, and I find the meaning to be very gripping along with the chord progression. This song is quite simple. Like I said, it's just Ryan Adams vocals and acoustic guitar, but what he's able to do with Taylor Swift's song is just mind-blowing to me, and I think he just absolutely hit this one out of the park.
So it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go down in flames. You can tell me when it's over, if the high was worth the pain. Got a long list of ex-lovers who'll tell you I'm insane. 'Cause you know I love the players, you love the games.
At number 11, we have Blur with Go Out. The first single from their new album, The Magic Whip, and this was the first taste of the first new music from Blur in 13 years.
You weren't looking...
Well, first new album, I should say, because there was Under the West Way and everything. But
You weren't looking forward to this at all, were you, Tom?
Oh my God. Well, it was hard to look forward to, and I didn't even know it was going to happen.
Right.
And then this came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and wow, did this song not disappoint. This song, I think I listened to it like a dozen times in a row right when it hit Spotify in anticipation for the full album to come out. But the thing that I love about Go Out, that really also kind of says what I love about the whole album of The Magic Whip, is that it's a good step forward for Blur where it still sounds like Blur without sounding too much like anything they've done. It has kind of the polish that maybe like Parklife or Great Escape had, but it has that just sinister guitar crunch that you hear more on like 13. And it all just comes together so well with these nice, Damon Albarn, kind of poppy la la la's in there, but somehow they come off sounding dark, and that's what I love about this band, and it's all wrapped up into this one track.
Get into my bed, I'll do it to myself. To the local, to the low.
At number 10, cracking the top 10 now, we have the opening track from Deaf Heaven's New Bermuda. The track is called Brought to the Water. Full disclosure, this was actually my favorite track of the year. I could not get enough of it.
It's a favorite track.
Yeah, as kicking the album off, it starts with kind of this, crescendo of an intro that just pummels you into this, pounding drum beat, your classic kind of black metal guitars. The vocals come in, the song builds a bit, but this guitar line comes in a few minutes into it that just kills me every time. And I love it when metal artists have the tact to slow things down a little bit with their guitar playings. And rather than just having this fast-moving, technical, who gives a crap guitar line, he lets the guitar sing. It pierces me straight through the soul. It is gorgeous. The song lightens up a little bit, and then you have this kind of cyclical, repeated line at the end. They go through about 4 times, which is just an absolutely tremendous guitar riff and vocal line, and then ends when it fades out into this just kind of gorgeous piano line. I mean, what a perfect metal composition.
At number 9, we have another track from Braids called Miniskirt. This is the ballad, I would call it a ballad, off of Deep in the Iris, one of our favorite albums from 2015. And this is the track where we really get, like, where Braids get to the rock bottom of the emotional depth that they're going to get to on Deep in the Iris. And it's a very emotional record, a very insular record to begin with. And what Miniskirt does is it opens up with piano and vocals, but the vocals are very, very aggressive.
Oh, yeah, very biting. She gives me the chills with her performance. She effectively makes me ashamed to be a man and makes me want to apologize for every testosterone-driven thing I've ever done.
And the fact that she's able to make you feel that way just with her voice and lyrics it speaks for itself, honestly. And what else they do in this song that makes it so intimate but yet intense at the same time is they add this layer of like electronic synth texture behind it that I think just adds just a ton of intensity to the song without taking away from the fact that it's this very intimate piano ballad. About halfway through, the song shifts into this glitchy electronic beat and becomes a little bit more upbeat, yet still very austere. Just overall, a fantastic track and really one of the defining tracks on Deep in the Iris.
It's just a stamp to the head. For them, another notch in the bed. It's like I'm wearing red, and if I am, you feel you the right to touch me, 'cause I asked for it in my little mini skirt. Think you can have it.
At number 8, we have the 4th track from Blur's The Magic Whip called Ice Cream Man.
Can't tell we like this album, Tom.
Right. This is actually a song that took a while to grow on me. You know, first couple of listens through The Magic Whip, this song didn't jump out to me as much. But what really I ended up liking about this song is the contrast between this really smooth electric guitar and this kind of light fluttering electronic texture that's going on in the background. But then Damon Albarn's vocal melody comes in, and his vocals are so well performed on this song. He doesn't oversell it. It sounds a little bit sedated, but I think from that and from kind of the like dark sarcasm that's underlying the lyrics, it just brings everything together so well.
That's a great description. This is actually my favorite track from The Magic Whip, and the reason is because I think of all the tracks on this album, this is the track that sets a new direction for Blur, and they do it so masterfully. And I think it's really different than anything else that they've ever done in a very good way.
The lantern men marching down till dawn. Morning come before something new.
At number 7 on our favorite songs list, we have Kerosene by Baroness off their recently released album Purple. This came out just a couple of weeks ago, and this song in particular was a big surprise to me, Tom, because I had listened to the 3 singles, Morning Star, Shock Me, and Chlorine and Wine, several times in anticipation of this record. I was just a little bit excited for a new Baroness record. And then, you know, getting to hear the whole album for the first time, Kerosene was the first track that I hadn't heard before that really made an impact on me, and has stuck with me since then. I can't stop listening to this song because essentially this is just like everything that Baroness has done up until this point, specifically with Yellow and Green, their album from, I think that came out in
2012.
2012. And so, they're really building on this whole brand of proggy sludge metal that really no one else, I think the band that comes closest to Baroness is Mastodon, of getting to this level of sound. But like what I love about really any genre or any artist in any particular genre is when they know how to incorporate other genres and not stay within one defined box. If you look at Baroness, they exemplify this throughout their discography, but specifically on the track Kerosene off of Purple, they do this to perfection. This song is all over the place, and it is rock music on steroids. This song is nuts. It goes crazy with just these guitar riffs that just get stuck in your head.
Odd time signatures.
It's in 7.
But very intricate within that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the choruses are just absolutely mind-blowing with the layered vocals. It just becomes very loud with the bombastic drums and all the instrumentation going on in the guitars. Very impactful and just a great gem to come out in December of 2015.
At number 6 is Birthmark with Find Yourself, the opening track from the Birthmark album that came out in 2015, How You Look When You're Falling Down. And this album, it is a good album. It didn't end up being an overall highlight for either of us, Jake, I don't think. But man, Find Yourself, for me, I listen to this song on repeat. I mean, to me, this is a perfect indie pop track. If you're a fan of, either Tom York's solo stuff or even like Postal Service, I would say check this out. But the thing I like is that while it has that sharp kind of electronic edge, really what it comes down to is a lot of very authentic sounding horn blasts, just a very full, real sounding beat. It's just perfectly polished. But really, man, when it comes to the writing, I mean, this thing, while I've been using the word pop a lot, it is a poppy track, but in structure, it avoids that boring verse-chorus kind of mentality. It has an extremely catchy chorus the couple of times that it does come up, but what Birthmark's doing here is he's switching things up a lot. The lyrics are borderline nonsensical, but also kind of uplifting and feel good at the same time. I mean, it is everything that I want out of an indie pop rock track.
Find yourself in the fun house, even if it's not that fun. Find yourself in the parking lot on your shortcut home. Find yourself at a bus stop.
At number 5, we have the track Pedestrian at Best by Courtney Barnett off of her debut record, Sometimes I Sit and Think and Sometimes I Just Sit. Provocative title, provocative album. This is one of our favorite albums of 2015, and this song is, well, first of all, it's track 2, so of course we love it, but it sets up the album very well. Courtney Barnett's sound, I would classify it as like 90s era grunge music, and she just knocks this style out of the park. But I think what she brings to the style that makes it so fresh and unique and is very true on Pedestrian at Best is her vocals. Her vocal melodies are catchy, and her lyrics are very biting and driven, and they make you think. So it, all in all, just makes for a great experience.
This track, it's almost spoken word. It's like she's barely singing. She's stumbling over these very like drunken sounding rhymes with this kind of tranquilized feel to her voice. To me, she almost sounds like a female modern day Lou Reed in the way that she's just kind of like falling through these poetic lines. And God, the whole song just rocks though. But you gotta love just the biting lyrics in the chorus. And number 4, we have another one from Dan Deacon. This time it's When I Was Done Dying. So a very suggestive song title that I think the music lives up to. It kind of tells a story, and it's a very deep personal story as you go through it. And I like that as the story builds, the music builds around it.
And this song in particular, this was my second favorite song of the year. I don't think that Dan Deacon will ever be able to live up to True Thrush, but when I was done dying, I mean, man, does this song come close, because you have this just driving beat, and then his like swelling instrumentation and electronic layers going on in the background, and Dan Deacon's vocals are there's such a cadence to them. Like, yes, the vocal part itself is repetitive, but he adds layers of intensity that correspond to the waves of sound you're getting from the instrumentation. The overall effect is really powerful, and this song just gets stuck in your head and you can't get it out. Following Dan Deacon, we have number 3 on our list, Gaz Coombs' Detroit, off of his album Matador. We really liked Matador. It made our favorite albums list, and Detroit is the main song, or the primary song I think of when I think of that
It's
album.
really the centerpiece. Longer track, kind of in the middle.
Yep, and I think it accomplishes everything that Matador tries to accomplish. The song starts off with this cool guitar riff that just sets the stage really well for the rest of the song, and then Gaz Coombs' just very smooth, beautiful vocals come in, just crooning over that, and then the song just kind of plays around with an extended verse before just crashing in to this huge anthemic chorus that's full of string production, layered, harmonized vocals that are just out of this world good. At number 2, we have another track from Deaf Heaven's New Bermuda, track 3, Baby Blue. This song is a little over 10 minutes long, and that sounds overwhelming, and the song is very overwhelming. This one took me several listens to get into, but it ended up being my favorite song, far and away my favorite song from 2015. And the reason is because Deaf Heaven found a way to make the, in my opinion, perfect metal song. This song starts off with this very melodic opening that goes on for a couple minutes. It's not metal at all. It's actually just kind of this really contemporary sounding,
kind of serene.
Yeah, just little piece to introduce the song before the song slowly starts getting darker and the drums come in and it builds, and then you just have these guitars start ripping through all that prettiness you heard at the beginning of the song. From there, the song transitions into this just absolutely incredible guitar solo. A guitar solo that, like, I seriously have heard very few guitar solos ever that rival the one in Baby Blue. From there, the song backs off and then goes into this bone-crushing metal grind that is absolutely beautiful before bringing in that lead guitar again, and then ending the song with a sample of some like rainy scene at a bridge and everything. It just, end to end, this song is an epic that encompasses so much of what Deaf Heaven is able to do musically, and just makes a huge statement for metal music.
At our number 1 song of the year is Kendrick Lamar's King Kunta.
I got a bone to pick.
You got a bone to pick. You know, no one should have a bone to pick with this pick
They really
for number
shouldn't.
1 song of the year. This song, it bumps, it builds, it's terrific.
Got that West Coast beat.
Oh, absolutely. It harkens back to the G-Funk era of early 90s hip-hop with this fat bass line, catchy as hell, infectious. But what I love is how the song builds. It lays this awesome groundwork, this incredible foundation, and then as it progresses through each chorus and each verse, there's little things added to it. You know, it's that classic Dr. Dre style of production, but with Kendrick's just top of the game performance and writing. I mean, this song I could not get out of my head for months, and just talking about it makes me want to listen to it.
I'm dancing to it in my head as you're talking, so this is a really good setup.
And if I got a brown nose for some gold, then I'd rather be a bum than a motherfucking bum. Oh yeah, bitch, where you and I was walking. Now I run a game, got the whole world talking. King Kunta, everybody wanna cut the legs off. King Kunta, black man taking no losses. Oh yeah.
Well, Tom, that wraps up our favorite songs of 2015 list, or at least the top 30.
Yep.
Any particular themes that you saw there?
Track twos.
Track twos. We really like track twos. And the reason is that I don't think it's the track number so much as that it's the fact that we really like songs, it seems, that define the album.
That is very much the case. But another thing I want to point out is that we also had a lot of albums from our favorite albums of 2015 that didn't have songs represented here.
Right.
And I think it just goes to show that album lists and song lists are naturally going to be very different. Where there's overlap, I think it's exactly because of what you said, Jake, where you have a song that really sets up an album, that really embodies it. I think that's a powerful statement. But at the same time, albums that are really strong throughout don't necessarily have strong highlights. And on the other hand, you can have a good standout track from a subpar album.
So if you guys want to listen to Velocities in Music's favorite songs from 2015, not only the top 30 that we just provided a run through on this podcast, but we actually made a list all the way out to 72 tracks. You can listen to this entire playlist on Spotify. Just go in and search for Velocities in Music's favorite tracks of 2015.
We can provide a link as well.
Yep, and we'll provide a link in the video. But we're really curious as well what your feedback is on our list, and also what are your favorite songs from 2015? Are there any that we left out that you would want to see us include? We would love to get your comments, so please reach out. Thank you guys for your continued support and participation. Tom and I love all of your comments on our YouTube videos, Facebook messages, and emails. Your participation is what makes Velocities in Music possible, so as always, thanks for being awesome. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
We are Velocities in Music, moving music discussion forward.